Hey guys, how's it going? I have never done anything like this before and don't have a clue what I'm doing. So hopefully I'll just get into a groove and, figure it out. But I got my tea and I just wanted to talk about what's going on with my writing and just the creativity process. And, I don't know, it's difficult to do lives. Pretty much my brain's going, what is going on? Anyways, my writings have been very interesting lately, and I have really been struggling to some extent, especially I finished a book and I've been editing it and really been doing like as full and deep edits as I possibly can, and trying a lot of stuff I have never done before, and it's been like really, it's been new and it's been frightening, overwhelming too, very overwhelming. But so yeah, I just want to talk about the creativity process a little bit for a little while. I just wanted to start getting into these lives, mostly because I know AuthorTube is a really big thing and really helpful to me. Like, I watch a lot of AuthorTubers and really enjoy watching AuthorTubers, especially the live sprints. So I'll be doing a lot of those. But I did not want to start AuthorTube. I've been considering it for months now, but I really didn't want to start it because of all the editing that's required in like making all the videos and stuff. It's very intense and a lot of work, and takes a lot of creativity. So I didn't really have the motivation or the desire to do that. But when I really started getting into AuthorTube, I saw just how popular like the live writing sprints and stuff were. And they are like my favorite part of it. So I was like, that requires no editing, but it does require me, in front of a camera. So that's where I struggle. But yeah, so that's why I'm doing this. And I see, like, because all the AuthorTubers talk about is like how they say in videos like and so, or yeah so, and how they hate that about themselves. And now I never got what they meant until right now, because I'm literally like saying that because I'm nervous. It's not natural, and it probably will get there the more I do these, but whatever. Yeah, so I'm just gonna briefly tell you about my series I've been working on. I've actually been working on this series for about like 3 years now, from like very beginning of like forming the world and outlining the whole series and developing characters and what the story was going to be about and whatnot. But 3 years. I ended up writing I started once I did some outlining, plotting, and world building and whatnot. I started writing like a prequel that will come out later, but it has a ton of spoilers. So it's definitely something that's important to the whole series as a whole, but for later. So yeah. That was so much fun. I never realized there's such a mental block when you have, when you know when you're going into writing that you know that you're going to release it. Because everything I've written till then, I knew I was going to release. So I guess I had that in mind, and it was terrifying. This one, I knew that I was not going to release it until like years later. And so that really changed how I wrote it and how I felt about writing it. There wasn't as much of a block. It was a lot more fun. And I thought that was really interesting and a little scary, because if it's more fun to not share it, then maybe I should consider not sharing anything. But I think there's something so important about writing, sharing your writing, sharing your art. But I think that I've tried to convince myself, because I learned this, I've tried to convince myself after that, I'm not going to share it with anyone while I'm writing. And it never really works, because I know deep down I'm just trying to trick myself. Can't con a con, right? But yeah. So, but anyways, this series is a fantasy, and never done a fantasy. It's such a long series. It's gonna have like 13 books in it, which it was a lot to take on, and it was very overwhelming. But I think it was also really exciting. It was exciting, this prospect of not feeling like I had to jam so much into one book, especially with fantasy. Everything has to be so detailed and thorough. The world, the characters, the actual plot, there's so much in fantasy. So I just I didn't want to have to try to put so much in one book. Like, I can't fathom, because this world is it's big, it's very detailed, there's so much going on, and you have different cultures, and I developed all this, but I didn't, like, there's still so many countries I don't even visit in this series. So it's like, I didn't want to waste my time, imagination, talent that I took to build all this, and literally just not even include it. So whatever. That's where I was like, okay, well, can't jam into one book. And it didn't work as one book. I mean, did not, like, the basic concept of this series does not work as one book at all. It does not. I mean, it really doesn't even, I won't get into it, but there's a lot to it, in other words. But I want to basically just share with you some lessons I've learned through this, and maybe some tips, and just chat. Just try to breach this wall of fear I have with being on camera, especially live. It's freaking terrifying. But I currently also know I have no one watching me, which I don't know if that makes it worse or better. Honestly, it's strange. But so I guess I'll just start by sharing the basic concept of this series, which I have posted about on my Facebook and Instagram. But basically, it all came to me. when I was scrolling social media, I saw a post that was like a random Tumblr post, but reposted on Facebook, about Hades from the Disney's Hercules, and how this person related to Hades more than any other character, and how that scared them because obviously he's the bad guy. And basically someone underneath said that's because so many people write the heroes as these perfect, strong, just flawless people, and the villains as flawed people, obviously, and that's why they're bad. And obviously us as humans, we have flaws and imperfections, so we relate to the villains more than the heroes. And then that got me thinking. And then right underneath that was one of those, like, I think BuzzFeed quizzes about which chosen one are you, like Harry Potter, Katniss, or Frodo. Like, they were all chosen by fate or whatever to do something great and save the world. So I thought, what if I flipped that on its head, combining both of those posts and flipped it on its head, and basically was like, well, what if I made the villains pretty much perfect, handsome, strong, brave, and probably prideful. I think that kind of has to come in at some extent. But I think a lot of heroes are that way too. Like, I think a lot of writers say, oh, heroes aren't perfect. See, they're so prideful and arrogant. And it's like, that's their only flaw. So I kind of flipped it on the head, that the villains are like that, and they're these chosen ones. They're these chosen ones chosen by this God that basically promotes perfection and wants to eradicate flaws in order to find true harmony and peace. He promotes that that's the only way to have unity among people is if there's no flaws among them, which obviously we know doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but yet at the same time I based it a whole lot on our society. A lot of societies, actually, not just like American or Canadian or just Western, but just a lot of cultures really promote perfection and flawlessness in a way that is not really plausible, I would say, but they still do it, and it's very toxic. But anyways, so if the villains were this way, then I was like, well, the heroes have to seem like villains, and they have to be flawed, and probably like very obviously flawed. And so I made this whole cast where each of them have their main flaws. And yeah, so basically, obviously with that, I wanted to give each character their spotlight of their story of how they not necessarily gained a flaw, because a lot of flaws, especially with them, they're born with it. But I wanted to give their story of basically, because they all form into a team eventually. So basically how because the series is called Hannibal Castle. So how they all come to the castle. And the castle's a connection to this other culture that's pretty much outcasted and seen as monstrous and like evil. And in this culture, they believe that weaknesses can become strengths. So where the rest of the culture really promotes that you have to get rid of your weakness to be strong, and your strengths become stronger. They believe that you can turn your weaknesses to strengths, and that comes into, plays out in different ways. And so, yeah, it's been a journey for me with that message in mind. It has been a journey of, reminding myself of that weaknesses aren't necessarily evil. And, you look at a lot of characters that we love and admire, and they have weaknesses. And that makes us kind of adore them a little bit more, right? And I realized that I wanted to see myself in that same light. And their flaws make them more relatable, right? And we don't beat them up for it because we understand they've been through a lot. And I just worked on seeing myself in the same way. But beyond that, the creativity of learning, trying to form a schedule. Because over these 3 years of working on this series, I have, I started working on it right after I graduated high school. So trying to write full time has been quite the journey of trying different schedules and trying planning and this and that, and nothing really working, I guess, or something's working and something's done it, and then me just kind of mentally and emotionally falling apart when things didn't work, because depends on the thing, but I beat myself up. So watching these other author tubers and see how they have bullet journals and they plan their whole day out, and months in advance. They plan out their whole quarter and stuff, and I'm like, and then I try to do that for a week and I just collapse. And I'm like, do I just need to practice and keep working at it? Or is this just not me? And ultimately it came to, this is not me. I can make goals. I do not do well under deadlines. Learned that. Schedules, not my thing at all. I can follow them for half a day, and then I'm literally I need a nap. I need chocolate. I need to just watch a show. And it's not that typically when I don't schedule a day, I'm able to work and sustain it longer. I think it's the regimented and the extreme structure that literally just drains me. So I had to learn that I need some freedom in my life. I need some space to wander and to feel free. If I feel boxed in, even mentally, I think, especially mentally, I should say, I feel like I'm getting suffocated, I guess. So I don't know. It's kind of like some structures, not all, and some structures are good, but to what extent for me, I guess. It ends up feeling claustrophobic, I guess, mentally, which is, I didn't know was a thing until recently. So I think that it's with the creative process, we have to take time, which they never tell you this in, writing, or it's never a part of it. They're just write. Just do it. It's thanks. That's so helpful. Not. But I realize now that I had to take time to work on a schedule and then realize my schedule is not good for me. I had to work on setting deadlines and then realizing deadlines literally do the opposite of what they're supposed to do for me, and learning instead the difference between deadlines and goals. And really figuring out when I have mental blocks of stuff, writer's block, the forbidden term, I have learned that getting to the bottom of what that is, because it differs. Every situation is different, and I have to, yeah, there's some overlap, but sometimes I have to really just dig down and get to the bottom of what's going on inside my head, I guess. I think that's part of becoming an adult. A part of really focusing on work full time. I think it is part of me, I don't know, like just learning myself, you know, kind of being my own person, figuring out how my brain works, how my creativity works, because honestly, you know, I've done, you know, jobs that were not creative. I've done, you know, you do stuff that's not creative, and it is a completely, obviously it must use a different part of my brain because it's a completely different mental process to work on something creative and something not creative. And some days creativity is easier than others, and sometimes all I want is a menial, thoughtless, just easy task that I don't have to think about, that I don't have to be creative with, that I don't have to use my imagination, that I don't have to, it's not colorful, it's boring, it's mundane. Now, if I did that for a long period of time, like as a career, it would suck the life out of me. But some days it's like I just want to take the easy path, and pushing through that in order to be creative. I think a lot of people that are creative probably struggle with this. And so it takes, you know, different, but everyone's different. So we have to figure out how to push through that and how to be creative all the time, and when not to be creative, because that's something else I've been learning is I see so many people literally just like all these author tubers. It makes me feel so bad because they're going from like 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. You know, like they literally work and that's their whole life. And it makes me feel terrible because they're like, this is what you need to do to be a successful self-published author or traditional published author, whatever. I think that's that way with any entrepreneur, any self-made person, any self-employed person, anyone. It is really pushed in our society to work and work and work. And I've had to realize recently that one of the reasons why I really wanted to get into and be my own boss and get into, you know, being artistic and creating is not just because I love it, but also because I can make my own schedule and enjoy my life and have a life outside of a 9-to-5 career, and set times when I want to and take time off when I want to, and just have freedom and be able to have a life where I'm able to wander and go on an adventure, whether that's playing a video game, because sometimes that is, or read, or whatever. Doing things because I love it and just living a life of enjoying what I do and seeing the beauty in everything. But if I try to push and push and push myself, where I'm writing all the time, and going through all these steps of, the publishing process. It is not for me. If I'm doing that, basically, it defeats the purpose of why I started this, why I began to pursue this path. And I had to realize that, because I also thought, like, hey, they're saying this is necessary, but is it? So yeah, it's been quite a journey these past 3 years, figuring out how I think, what's going on inside my head, figuring out this and that. And creativity is such a unique thing. It's such a unique thing in that I don't feel that way or think the way I do when I'm trying to be creative than when I'm doing anything else. It's like its own section of my brain. And so it's kind of like, and just learn to be creative is like its own skill, discipline on its own, especially full time. And I think it's different for everyone. So that's how my suggestion would be, is to take time. If you're pursuing this, if you're trying to pursue this or want to pursue this, is try to learn how your brain works in creativity, how your brain works on schedules that are extreme or medium or light or no schedules at all. What works best for you? Because honestly, well, a lot of people say it's absolutely necessary, detail it as much as possible. It's not. That's a lie. And it's important for us to realize we're all unique and we are all different and original. That's okay. That's good. So yeah, that's my tip for today. See, I've been on for almost a half hour now. I don't want to go too long, because it's just me trying things out. But my point is, in the creativity process, let's not, whether it is anything, doesn't have to be writing. For me, that's my main art form. But whatever creativity thing you do, whatever your dream in your heart is, don't beat yourself up because you're not doing it perfectly like you see other people do, because comparison really is a thief of joy. And we cannot think that we're like other people and that what works for them will work for us, and that what they do will be good for us, because it's just, we're us, we're not them. And as much as we want to be like them, as much as I want to be like all these people that schedule their whole day out and it works so fabulously for them and they get so much done, I realize I can't do that, shouldn't do that. It's not healthy for me. And my success may look different than theirs. My standard may look different than theirs. My success may be being able to release and have a career where I'm not working so much, where it is just me enjoying it. And really, when it comes to creativity, I want it still to be fun and enjoyable. And the moment it stopped doing that is when I started pushing for me to get more done faster. So when I take a step back and really take a deep breath, I realize that I really enjoy writing and I really enjoyed editing, which is shocking because for so long I didn't. It was torture. but that was because I was looking at it wrong. It was a mindset thing. So a lot of creativity is mindsets. So that's just my encouragement is if it's not fun, creativity wise, then it is probably something going on with your mindset that you probably need to change. So with with my journey, I realized that so much of what I do matters to me, and I have to look at it from a place of purpose, because that's how I think, I guess. And so if I'm looking at it from a business standpoint, and it will probably never be enough, first off, and second off, I will probably never be happy doing it, because I'm looking at it from a place of money and numbers, not creativity and not enjoyment. So how can I enjoy something when I'm not looking at it from an enjoyment standpoint, I guess? So these past 3 years of working on this series has been really learning my own brain, learning how to shift mindsets, and how to, I guess, use creativity as a skill, because creativity is a skill all on its own. So with this series, I obviously uncharted waters completely and overwhelming. It was so overwhelming, but I really want to push myself from a creativity standpoint, not from a business standpoint, not from a number standpoint. I want to push myself and see how far I can go while still having fun. The moment it becomes painful or torture, the moment I realize I need to stop, take a breath, and rethink things, and just, where's my mind at? So that's my suggestion for you if you're creative, or if you're trying to be creative, because I know there's some people that aren't naturally, but they want to try. Like I've been saying, creativity is a skill. Take time to try to be creative, and how it works for you. So beyond that, I have been really loving this process. Well, not all of it. As I've been saying, it's been pretty painful sometimes, but learning how my brain works and learning who I am, I guess, as a creative artist. But I really love the lessons I've learned in a really weird and, like I said, because it's been painful way. So this is not a journey for the faint-hearted. There's so many days where I'm like, I wish I would have gone the easy route, because doing a easy career, easy meaning not anything that's really from my heart, that's not creative, because since I am a creative person, if I did something that wasn't creative, there would be days that it would be so much easier for me. But somehow I have to realize, because I know it would drain the life out of me, so I have to realize in the end it wouldn't be healthy. It wouldn't be good for me. So yeah, I have to realize that, because there's so many days I just want to give up. But that's where I was going back to what I was saying about purpose. I have to realize that this is purposeful for me. But then yes, for, you know, hopefully my writings do inspire other people. And yeah, so with this whole live thing, I guess, has been a little bit of a stream of thought, because I have been trying to do this live thing. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to say goodbye for now. And I do want to remind you guys, if you don't know, that I will be doing a live creating artistry sprint later on at 1 p.m. today. I'm doing that. Basically, it's call it a sprint, because I will be setting up a timer, and then we will, during the timer, basically it's a time to just focus on whatever project it is, whether it is writing or reading or crocheting or painting or whatever it is you do. Please come and join me later today, and we'll chat and then sprint, and hopefully you can get some stuff done. Basically, yeah. So you write, you read, whatever you do that you've been wanting to get done. It is a great time to just be like, oh, we just have 15 minutes and I'm just gonna be focusing on this. So I love these sprints. I do them all the time. And I thought, hey, what if I give it a shot? So yeah, if you'd love to join me, it's 1 p.m. today. And I'm gonna be trying to do these lives more often, because that's I want to try. Yeah, so I'll see you guys later. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.